Good day, everybody. How's everyone doing? I'm sure we're all good. I'm Gary McGowan. As Ian mentioned, I'm the general manager of Keller Williams Realty Centers, which is located just north of Toronto. Also, co-host of the Not So Black and White Real Estate podcast. But more importantly for today, I'm your moderator, your host for this first session. Really, really excited for this. And when I think about my career at KW, and I'm sure this is going to be the theme throughout this next hour and the day, is all about opportunity. And KW has provided so much opportunity for me, my family, and of course, those that are around us, our sphere of influence. So I'm really excited about that. Use the chat. We'd love to know where you're watching from. This is going to be, obviously in a webinar format. It's just us on screen, but we know there's lots of people out there watching. So let us know where you're watching from, and I'll do my best if there's comments going throughout the next hour to highlight some of those comments and give kudos where needed to our panelists. So yeah, we're seeing Perry Sound. Yes, Newmarket, our hometown of my brokerage. Moncton, this is awesome. Oakville, another new market. I'm scrolling. They're scrolling fast. Dartmouth, Kingston, Barrie. This is fantastic. Mississauga, all across Canada. Here we go. Lots of great stuff. Bel Ert, I got you, Wayne. Very good. Okay. So enough about me. Let's bring on our panelists, and I've got some questions prepared for them. But more importantly, this is a platform to highlight our stories and our agent stories. So that's what that's what we're going to use today for. So on the panel with us, so we've got Adam, we've got Rachel, we've got Amanda. Who else we got? We got Kyla, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So if you wanted to, let me just make sure everyone's unmuted here. That's ready to go, and I'm going to start with Adam. Give us that 60-second bio, but more importantly, tell us where you're from, and we'll get right into everything else. But 60 seconds, who's Adam and where are you from?
Hi, I am Adam George Palios. I'm from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I am an unabashed cheerleader for this wonderful city here. I can see some other folks that are from Hamilton as well. I am a lover of Hamilton, a lover of travel. I am a ally for the anti-racist and the queer movements. Being a queer man myself, I found myself in the career of real estate because I deeply wanted to help people. I actually have a background in science. I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And then when I graduated, didn't want to be in school for another 12 years. I moved into real estate because, like I said, I wanted to help people. And I always knew that real estate was going to be a platform for which I could grow my own personal wealth. My father was a real estate lawyer. My uncle was a mortgage broker. I've been renovating homes sort of since I was 12 years old. So I always say that real estate is in my blood. As a brand new realtor, what did I do first? Actually, I took Bold. My business, I took it way too early. I wasn't even licensed yet. I did not get the full effect, so I did end up taking it again. My business would not be where it is today had I not started out with Bold. Something that I didn't expect this industry to be working with Keller Williams after interviewing 7 different brokerages is that there's such a community feel here. I sort of expect it to be out on my own. Maybe it's a part of my career, but now truly real estate's part of my identity, and I absolutely love it. If I could start over again, I would.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off, Adam.
Oh no! Okay,
you're getting the hook. It's all good, but I love it. And you know what I love about realtors is realtors love to talk, right? It's all good, my man. So I want to give everyone the same opportunity to have their, tell us where they're from, and we'll go through all the questions and give everybody. Yeah, I got you. This is all good. Kyla, over to you again. 60 seconds. Where are you from, and that little backstory of Kyla, if you could.
I think I'm Kyla, but I'm actually Kayla.
I am so sorry.
But I am originally from Hamilton with Adam. Grew up there, lived there for 24 years, made my way down the highway. I now live in the Niagara region. A little bit of background. So I apparently love school because I've been going since I was 4. So went to McMaster, Laurentian, Brock, RIA, just been around the block. Still am just finishing one last thing up. I promise I won't go back. Also a huge lover of animals, and kind of got into real estate, well, accidentally, but we'll get there. But with the goal of starting like an animal sanctuary. So that's Kyla in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Fantastic. Over to you, Becky.
Hi, I'm from Grimsby, Ontario. I work at Keller Williams Complete in Hamilton. Like everybody else, I didn't set out on a path to real estate. I actually worked in advertising for 10 years in Toronto, and I just kind of burnt out of that industry, but loved working with people. So then I became a high school teacher. I worked teaching art and business, and just found that that wasn't a good environment for me. So my husband was the one that said, you should try real estate. We had sold our house privately with Comfrey. I did a great job. They actually had me speak on a panel for their annual general meeting. So thought, okay, maybe I'm good at this. Maybe this is something I'll stick with. So I took my courses. I absolutely love it. Like Adam, I'm a big cheerleader for my community. I've always been very involved, love volunteering, love giving back, and found that real estate, I'm passionate about the industry, but it also gives me opportunity to really do a lot for my community, a lot of fundraising, as well as I'm a mom. I have 2 boys, so it gives me a lot of flexibility for my family as well. So I think I'm finally in a career and I'm going to stick with it.
Love it. Love it. And Amanda, I'm going to go down to you, Amanda. Give us that 60-second bio.
Okay, good morning, everybody. My name's Amanda Beckberger. I'm a sales representative with the Signature office in Oakville. I serve clients in Oakville and surrounding areas. I am a mother and of a 10-year-old and 11-year-old, a wife. The real estate is a second career for me, and this is my second year in the business. I transitioned from a 17-year career in nursing, and it was a very full career. I just needed a change, and I've shifted into real estate full-time after about 6 months in the business, and now continue to work as a solo full-time agent.
That's amazing. You know what I love about this, and what everyone's got such a unique background and different road to how they ended up here, and that story is going to come out through the next hour or so. Trust me on that. Very good. Rachel, you're with us.
Hello from Eastern Canada. So similar to Amanda, I had a very full career working as a full-time paramedic here in New Brunswick. I still currently work as a paramedic on a casual basis, but since real estate has taken over, probably about 6 months into it, I have been doing that. That has taken on my focus. So I still love medicine and I still love helping people. I'm just doing it in a different realm. I was always going into people's homes, but now they want me to go into them for a different reason, not for a 911 call. So, but yeah, I fell in love with real estate since I've been into it, and it seemed to be really good, working out for me really well. And I was like, I'm okay at this. Let's keep going. And here I am, almost into halfway through my second year, and I already have a team. So
I love it. That's amazing. That's amazing. We're going to stay with you, Rachel. You're on camera with us. And let's dig into a little bit deeper of why real estate. I love asking this question, whether you've been in the business for 6 days, 6 weeks or 60 years. Everyone's got a really unique story, meaning, and a big why behind the real estate. So I'd love to jump into that, Rachel, if you could.
Well, I wanted to be my own boss because I don't like being told what to do. So I had to really work backwards from that. So I was like, what can I do that keeps me here in Moncton? I can kind of establish as much, I wanted to be able to put in as much as I wanted to get back. So I knew I needed to be my own boss, an entrepreneur. I needed to figure out what am I already good at that could reflect into, to growing a business. So I just kept thinking and brainstorming, and eventually brought me to the real estate world. And this is like 2019. And I'm like, am I really going to be good at this? And I just kept at it, and I just kept going down, putting my focus on there. And, everything was working out the way it was supposed to work out. So I'm very grateful for that. And just my whole community here in Moncton, in my paramedic world, they've all come to me and helped me build this business. They were my first clients. So it was just like, okay, this is making sense. I can still have, help people in the realm of medicine, but also into real estate. So it all worked out.
Love it. Love it. Fantastic.
Mhm.
Amanda, same question to you. Why real estate? And especially after, you've already had one very successful career. Now you're moving to the next. So tell us a little bit about that.
Much like Rachel, again, I guess her and I can relate. In the medicine world, you are definitely not your own boss. So that was a big priority for me. And my kids are getting older, and I wanted to have the flexibility. Most recently, coming from 12-hour shifts, you're there for 12 hours with zero flexibility. So that was a big part of the shift for me. Plus, so originally from Windsor, we moved back and forth quite a bit. I moved over a dozen times personally. So when we moved to Oakville as our permanent home in 2018, basically I had a weekend to find a home. I worked with an agent, and we just chatted quite a bit about his career as a real estate agent, being his own boss, working for Keller Williams, and I just really, I don't know, I thought it would be a good fit for me. Yeah, so I decided, yeah, I'm going to pursue this. And like Rachel, I was also working nursing and then trying to transition into real estate, but that quickly changed and realized that I had to do real estate full time. And yeah, that's what I'm doing now. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to come back to some of the things as we're saying things. There's going to bring up other questions, and I've got some other questions lined up, and there's some really good golden nuggets that we've already, that's already been mentioned before, and I'm gonna circle back to many of those. So Becky, I'd love to get that backstory of why real estate as well, because as we're learning here, people are looking for opportunity. And I said that was going to be the theme of this session. And I can already see that coming. So talk to us a little bit about that, Becky.
Yeah, so my dad was a business owner. He had an insurance brokerage in Grimsby. And I think I rejected the idea of being an entrepreneur. I did not want to own my own business. I didn't want to be my own boss. So I went into advertising and marketing. I think looking back, a lot of my challenges was the lack of control. And that was really what got me out of education. The things that I didn't like about education, I had zero control over. So I kept coming back to, I think I'm just a born entrepreneur, despite not wanting to be. I have to listen to what is happening, the messages the universe is sending me. And like I said, it's a dirty word, comfrey, but I did take my hand at trying to sell my own house, and it went really well. And I absolutely loved the process. And I've always been interested in real estate and the market. And so I'm so glad my husband was the one that encouraged me to do it, because all those skills that I picked up in my prior experiences really paid off in this industry. It wasn't like starting from nothing. I had all this wealth of knowledge, and I'm so much happier being in control. I think I'm just a control freak possibly, but that brought me into real estate, and it's been awesome ever since. It's 3 years today is my anniversary with Keller Williams. So I think I made the right choice.
That's amazing. You and I actually have somewhat of a similar backstory. My father, always the forever entrepreneur and very successful at whatever he did. And I got this weird thing in my head that all I wanted was a 9-to-5 job with being on a salary, getting a salary. And, man, it took me 10, 15 years, probably 10 years to realize that is not what I want.
Well, I thought 9 to 5, you clock out, right? You can clock out and not think about things, but that's not really true. I think if you're good at any job, you're always thinking about it. So then you might as well be the one reaping the benefit of all your hard work. I think it's naive to think you're ever going to be able to shut your mind off if you're a pretty ambitious person. So.
Yeah. And you brought up something really important there. And Kayla and Adam, I'm going to come to you in just a moment, but I want to move forward a little bit. And you said that your husband was, is being so supportive and everything else. And I'd love to dive into that section of what we're going to talk about this morning is who is supporting you, Becky? Because this business, it can be up and down in an hour, right?
Yeah. And I think I remember learning on one training session, I can't remember who said it, but people will discourage you from this business because they have heard no in their life. So they're protecting you from you being rejected. It's an industry where you do get rejected a lot, right? Like your deals don't go through, you don't get listings, you do have a lot of rejection. So I was discouraged by a lot of people. Just like when I went into teaching, don't become a teacher, you'll never get a job. I got a job right away. So I thought, well, I've done well in everything I've done so far. I'm not going to listen to those people. I'm going to listen to my husband, who's really the one saying, you can do anything. Go for it. Go for it. And now I'm so happy he's a teacher. He gets to take next year off and take a leave of absence to work with me on my business. And now I get to give him this opportunity to have a break after teaching through a pandemic. So he needs a break. And so, you know, we get to do that, be so that support system for each other, which is so awesome.
That's fantastic. Good for you. And again, it's all about that opportunity, being able to give back in a sense like that. That's amazing. Kayla, okay. Why real estate? What was that choice? And talk to us a little bit about that.
So just to give everybody a bit of background, when I was in university, I got a government summer job, and then I worked for the government for 7 years before getting into real estate, which when I told like my grandparents as an example that I was leaving the government, it was like, oh my gosh, you can't do that. But I was working on my license because I was investing in real estate. And I was like, I might as well get my license, because then even if I don't, do deals for other people, then I can find deals for myself and search myself for investment properties. And then honestly, it just kind of snowballed. And here I am. I left the government, obviously. So I've been full-time for, I guess, just over a year and a half. I was part-time for the first little bit. And it was really just so I could search for investment properties myself. So like I said, a little bit accidental to actually leave my government job. I had a great job. I worked with wonderful people, but I was tied to a desk, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And I had to commute, which honestly is the bane of my existence. So so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try this, and worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, then I'll find another job. Like, you kind of have to take a chance on yourself, and I did, and here we are.
That's fantastic. I love it. Okay, Adam, you gave us a lot right at the beginning, but I'm going to circle back to some of that. It's all good, my man. It's all good. So I remember hearing one of the things that you did first was taking bold, awesome. Yes. And would you agree, Adam, that, what the ladies have said here thus far, and maybe it holds true for yourself as well, the opportunities there, we talked about that, but also kind of that freedom to doing what we want to do in life, right? And talk to us a little bit, about why real estate and what that's been able to provide for you.
So tons of recognition in a lot of the stories that we've heard so far. I'll expand a little bit more on my background here. So my dad was a real estate lawyer. We moved around a lot. So I knew from a very young age the benefit that real estate could have on yourself, on your family, your personal wealth, your generational wealth. So I always knew that real estate had a place in my life. After I finished university, which I mentioned, I went to school for science. I have an honors bachelor of life science with a minor in psychology, neuroscience, and behavior. I played around with maybe going to school for autism behavioral technician, or I knew that I wanted to be in something that I thought was going to be a caring profession. I know that we've had a paramedic on the panel and nursing on the panel. I think that seems to be pretty common. Real estate agents who are good care about other people. And what I started doing was I also always loved technology.
Hang on a second. I want people to take notice of what you just said, because that is so important, Adam. Great realtors, great real estate agents care about people. That's a mic drop moment. Absolutely. Right there. So I hope people take notice of that.
Yeah. I think that there's one thing that's common, and it seems to be much more common in Keller Williams agents, and that's that great agents really do care. It's not just, and I've got a great story to represent that. So I always loved technology as well. I started working at a cell phone store as a way to sort of mediate between what I liked, till I figured out what I actually wanted to do. Started getting my license at the suggestion of a friend of mine who had just gotten their license, because again, I knew that I wanted to have real estate in my life. I figured maybe if I just flip a couple homes myself, it's going to pay for my license. And then I remember my first sale I ever had. And because of my own experience in what brings value to properties, and because of my experience in being able to negotiate, I helped them get $40,000 more than any other unit in the complex that they were in Burlington. And I mean, this was back when homes would sell for $450 in Burlington. But I remember driving home and I called my partner and I said, I feel like I just helped my clients win the lottery. I was so ecstatic. I was vibrating. And he goes, well, how much commission do you make from that? And I realized that I hadn't even calculated that yet. And that's when I knew that this was the direction I needed to go in. I knew that being able to feel this every day and help make people's lives easier consistently through my knowledge of real estate, knowing that I think I could do a better job than another realtor down the street. I thought that I owed it to people to make sure that I made this my full-time passion. And it's only been up from there. Last year, I was the top 1.6% of all realtors in Hamilton, Burlington, and Grimsby. I've just started my own team to hold myself accountable and to sort of help elevate the industry. I'm in the process of teaching a whole bunch of courses. Ignite, I've been on panels for Family Reunion. Where real estate has taken me is just beyond my dreams as a 29-year-old I ever could have imagined. 30 on June 6th, if anyone wants to wish me a happy birthday. And I also just realized as of May 1st, that was my 6-year anniversary. So it's been a bit. Thank you for all the happy birthday messages. It's been a bit. My life is beyond my dreams that I could have ever achieved for myself before completely diving into real estate.
Awesome. So there's a few things I want to dive right into before we move on to the next panelist here, Adam, and then we'll come back to you a little bit later.
Yep.
You've had some tremendous success.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about that along the way here too, but I'd love to learn a little bit about how you protect your mindset around that and how to kind of check yourselves so you're continuing to add value to your clients.
So taking Bold before doing anything, before even being licensed, absolutely changed everything for me. Seeing for a very long time, I worked on memorizing the Bold laws because some of them spoke to me right away. Some of them I kind of thought, oh, they're important. Some of them weren't important to me at all. But realizing that some of them were made me acknowledge that all of them actually were, and that it was about growing my mindset in order to achieve the messages or receive the messages that these experts were telling me. So what really, really stuck with me was that your business only grows to the extent that you do. And I took that very personally because I recognized myself being in a part of my life that while I liked the direction that it was going, I wasn't there yet. Be, do, have. It's crazy as it sounds. I fully drank the Kool-Aid. I hopped in, and you can ask my friends and family watching me change because of the work that I was doing on myself, because I wanted to thrive in the business that I have. And it benefited my relationships with my friends and family. As someone who also lives with ADHD, I have very naturally high energy. I tend to interrupt people. Oh, my sound's a bit muted, it says.
That's a bit better. Keep going.
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah.
Lots of very high energy. I tend to interrupt people. I tend to want to get really deep into meeting people. And what I found is that building my mindset, protecting the way that I feel about myself and the way that I kick my own ass and shove my drunk monkey off my shoulder every day, I think it's allowed my business to thrive and also my personal life to thrive. And I couldn't be happier with where I am. And frankly, it's all kind of because of Keller Williams too.
Amazing. That's fantastic. Okay. Very good. Rachel, I'd love to bring you back on screen and talk to you a little bit about, we're going to get into like the nit and gritty, meaning where do leads come from and how do you generate your business? But I'd love to hear first from you, how you transitioned, from your previous career and what did you do first? Perhaps what would you do differently if you were to think back and look on it now?
I probably wouldn't do anything completely different because I don't live in regret. But what I did do was I blasted every single person I know with a text or a phone call, simply just saying, hey, here's my life update. I am still a paramedic, but I'm also a realtor. And this is what I'm going to be focusing on now. So with that, I also started doing handwritten notes to every single person that I had their address for. I also would call or text them to get that information and just gave that personal touch. I also had a coach, a productivity coach early on, Colin Bradford. Some of you guys might know him. He is amazing, and he has helped me. And right from day one, I signed up for the coaching program. So he's helped me, guide me, and navigate throughout the beginning of my first couple of months. From the handwritten cards, I ended up finding this other software where I could create these more personal cards, taking photos from people's, Facebook, whatever they're doing in their lives, and really getting really personal and sending them a note. And I got so much positive feedback from that. And it's not me just saying, hey, do you want to buy or sell your house? I'm like, hey, how are you? Like, I want to prioritize our friendship here, or I want to spend time with you and get to know you a little bit more. And people were like, I really needed that day. And it was just like, you knew. And I just love that relationship side of everything. So I wouldn't change anything. I would just have started earlier, maybe.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Colin Bradford. Good for you for connecting with him. And
oh yeah,
what I'm hearing is you just went and told people that that you became a realtor. Imagine that, right? Imagine that.
Like, oh, hey, hi.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. I know there's a couple of comments there. Maybe you can type it in. What software or what platform were you using to generate some of that? Was it
Send out cards?
Send out cards. Okay, that's what I thought you were using. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's huge in the States, and there's an actual realtor send out cards community, and some people in Canada do use it.
Yeah, and the I've seen it been done, and I think what you're saying is, Rachel, you've gone on, maybe captured a picture that they posted online, downloaded it, and now they're getting a handwritten card, if you will, sent to their home. That's such a great touch.
People don't throw out photos of themselves, so they remember. Like, I have a friend of mine that has a photo collage of him and his daughters on his fridge because his daughter's a toddler and looks at it every single day.
Wow.
So people remember that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. That's fantastic. Amanda, similar question. What did you do first? And is there anything you would do differently or add to it?
So I thought, well, if I was now a realtor, I should look, act, and talk like a realtor. So I did all of those things. I updated my wardrobe. I bought a car that, I know it sounds bad, but people think that realtors drive. I basically transformed into a different role than what people knew me in. I spent time developing my logo, the website, and I know those aren't the be all, they don't have to have those from the beginning, but I was really worried about being questioned about being a new realtor. So I felt if I had all those things in place already, that people wouldn't question me. And they didn't. They just went with it. The thing that I would do differently, I guess, is I had a lot of people in my sphere, but they didn't know me as a realtor. So I would have treated them, some people, for instance, somebody that helped me develop my logo, she helped me with it. And then at the end of the day, ended up using a different realtor because she knew me as a nurse and not as a realtor. I didn't do my buyer pitch with her like I did, because I just assumed that she would, she knew me, she liked me, she trusted me, but not as a realtor, as a nurse. So that part I would have done differently.
Yeah, that's interesting. And sometimes we got to recast ourselves in a sense, and that's a fine line of not going too far away from who we really are, though, as people, right? But if you're not telling, just like Rachel was doing, if you're not telling your sphere who you are and how you can serve and help them and provide value, they'll never know. And sometimes it does take a little bit of time to allow that to generate. But we just got to get out there and tell people, right? Absolutely.
I'm generally quiet by nature. So for me, that's been a struggle and something that I'm still, working on. So yeah, it takes time.
Yeah. You know, I once had a friend tell me, and we were talking about picking up the phone and talking to the people that already know, like, and trust us. And he once said to me, and this has stayed with me for forever, is, Gare, people love getting your phone call. They love talking to you. And I'm sure it's the same with you, Amanda. And I'm sure it's the same with the 200 plus people on the call. People love getting your phone calls. So never take that for granted. Never overshadow that, right? Very good. Thanks, Amanda. Becky, similar to you, what did you do first and how did you transition into telling your sphere that you were in real estate?
I am very similar to everything I just heard. I knew people, they say at Keller Williams, people work with those they know, like, and trust. So I knew a lot of people. I think a lot of people like me, but they didn't trust me as a realtor. So how was I going to gain that trust? So I did Ignite right away. I think the first week I signed my contract, Ignite had already started. So I dove right into that. I had no idea what I was doing. I hadn't even been on Matrix. I didn't know anything, but just listening and really listening to the language that the other agents were using, that the teachers in the classes, how they spoke about the industry, and then trying to mimic that. So everywhere I went, every conversation I had, I tried to bring real estate into the conversation. And that summer, I got a client by chit-chatting on the beach with someone at my cottage about real estate. And I got a listing and they bought with me. So it was really, how do I look like I know what I'm talking about when I really don't have any experience yet? So building on what I knew in client service, but then bringing in that language that realtors use that make them sound like they're experts in their field. And the only way to do that was really going to the training sessions. Keller Williams, I joined Keller Williams because of that, because of the education piece, and that it's rooted in research. It's not just one mentor that you're given a whole wealth of knowledge, and go to every session you possibly can and listen to how people talk and try to find your way to sound like them.
That's fantastic. That's great. And Kayla, I'm going to change the question a little bit for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
I'd love to hear about, perhaps the biggest surprise that you've had in entering this business, and maybe one that you didn't expect.
So I think, and this is going to sound silly, but I'm sure everyone here can echo it. Like, I knew that realtors worked hard and worked a lot of hours, but I don't think I realized how hard and how many hours. And coming from a government job, I mean, I was a consultant, so I did do a bit after hours, but not quite as, I mean, there is no after hours now, it's just all hours. So I think that was surprising. But one of the other things that I found to be surprising was, you get this notion that you're in competition with everyone, the people at your brokerage, plus agents at other brokerages, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way. People are always willing to help. Like, even if you're submitting an offer or talking to other agents at your brokerage, like when I first started, I had a small error on an offer and the agent was like, hey, I know you're new, just fix this. You're like, we're going to do the deal with you, but just make sure that you fix this. And I was like, great, thanks so much for being awesome. And not, my clients wouldn't have had a stove when they got there, so that would have been problematic for them. So yeah, I think that was surprising for sure to me. And this is also going to sound bad, but just how little you know when you have your, like when you start and you have your license. Like, don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm stubborn by nature. I like to figure things out on my own, but that's just not a feasible way to do things when you're a new agent, because there's not really a ton of places to find that information other than asking people that have done it, because every scenario is so different. So yeah, that would be like my big advice to new agents, would be definitely like ask the questions, because if not, your clients won't have a stove. So
And I like how you said that though. And it's not bad. We just don't, when we learn a new task or we learn something new, we enter a new business like real estate. It's hard to comprehend what we don't know because we don't know it.
yeah.
Right. And that's okay. But I think to what, kudos to you for understanding that there is so much to know and asking. And I remember we once had a broker record saying, that I only get called by our top agents when it comes to broker record related things. And I thought to myself, hang on a second, I want to be a top agent. I'm going to start calling our broker record. So it's, I think, just as you said, ask the questions, attend the workshops and get engaged with those workshops. So that's fantastic. Same with you, Kayla. Talk to us a little bit about like the actual business stuff. How do we generate leads, or what did that look like for you from, at the beginning and talking to your sphere, and where did that come from? And everyone's going to be a little bit different, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But somebody will resonate with your story. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah. So honestly, I wish I had watched this when I was a new agent, because I don't want to say I'm shy, but I don't like talking to people about things. Like, I like talking about real estate, but I didn't want to make it seem like I was in everyone's face about it. So I just like posted on Facebook and would bring it up when I was in conversation. But I wish I did exactly what Rachel did and let everyone know, because I didn't. So it was a slow start in the beginning until I started to kind of do that. Luckily I did have a bit of, like, I had been investing a little myself, so I was able to work with investors and offer that. But as far as myself, like presenting myself as a realtor, I didn't do very much of that. So over time, I've gotten a little more comfortable with, posting on social media, video, this type of thing. And I think, like, again, if you're going to do one thing, make sure you're in front of people, because that's what I didn't do. And that's why I was part-time, but the first little bit was slow until I was comfortable with doing that. And honestly, even if you feel uncomfortable, just do it. It's going to make a huge difference. I still like these types of things. I mean, they make me super nervous, but here we are, we're doing it. So that was then. Now we like Facebook ads, these types of things, videos, all sorts of different things that are bringing in lead gen. And it makes a world of difference. Follow up, all that stuff. And they work. They 100% work. I've gotten a ton of business from them. And it also allows me, I have a small team, to provide leads for them to work and do business on their own. So it's just really, don't let whatever fear you have of posting or video or whatever it is, like just do it. Once you do it a few times, it becomes so much easier and it becomes so much less scary, but you just have to do it the first time.
Yeah, well done. Just do it. And you're right. Like it sometimes it does take a little bit of getting out of our own skin to just go do the things that need to be done. Right. Yeah. So good for you for taking that action. There's some great comments in there, Kyla, on the chat on kudos to you for just doing it and your story. So well done. Becky, similar question. I love to understand, where your leads came from at the beginning and how you were able to close deals at the very beginning to what it looks like today.
Yeah, so similar, making sure people knew I was in the business. It's scary to make those first phone calls. I've always had an expression with myself or a question to myself: what's the worst thing that can happen before I do something? And with phone calls, what's the worst thing that can happen? Someone just gets you off the phone quickly. Can I live with that? Well, yeah, I can. So just do it. Just make the phone calls, make sure people know that you're working in the business, and then be helpful and be kind. Be helpful to people, show value, and that's going to come back around. Support other people's businesses, be promoting them, sharing their businesses, going out to events and showing that you're there to support others. That's going to come back to support you. And then, I get referrals from partners in Toronto. I get referrals from my chiropractor's receptionist. I mean, you just have to be always being a team player and working with people. I've gotten our leads through Facebook. So that's something I never did in a systematic way. I know Kirby Chan is going to be talking later today, and I just did one of his training programs. So how do I be systematic with Facebook? It has given me business before. So this is something that I'm going to do better with, being more diligent with my database, being more diligent using Facebook as a database. But those first leads are going to come from your sphere, and they're not going to come if people don't know that you're working in the business. And you're going to see a sign with somebody else's face on it, on a family or friend's front lawn, and you got to just take that as a learning moment and not let that happen again, and make sure people know that you're there to help them and truly help them through, which is one of the most stressful times in their life, and you're going to be there to support them.
Yeah, well said. Anna Marin has a great comment. Don't be that secret agent, right? We got to tell people. right?
Yes.
It's terrible to say, but if you were to fall over on the sidewalk today and someone, went through your purse or your wallet, would they know that you're a realtor type thing, right? Like what are you wearing? What do you have to let people know? I'd love to dive into something a little bit deeper that you said, Becky, really quickly. I think as realtors, we often failed to see the value of creating realtor to realtor relationships. And you mentioned referrals. Talk to us a little bit about that from realtor to realtor perspective.
It's interesting. I was just telling somebody about this yesterday, that I've had many agents send me emails after I've done deals with them, talking about how wonderful the process was and how it's been a pleasure to work with me. And I think if they're taking time to send me this message, and some of these agents have been in the business for 25 years, what is it like with other agents? Why is it not always a wonderful experience to work with people? So I think I just come from the mindset that everyone can win. It should be enjoyable for the agents, for the clients. Everybody should have a good experience. And that's worked well for me. I have relationships from childhood who are now realtors in other areas, and they've mentioned me to agents in their office, and it's come back to be business. So luckily, I guess I was always a good person in the past, thank goodness. But, just don't make anyone's life more difficult than it needs to be. And I think it pays off when you make other people's life easier and more enjoyable.
Yeah, well said. And that's it. Make others, allow their lives to be more enjoyable, or that experience to be more enjoyable. Because every real estate transaction, whether we like it or not, or how we look at it, perceive it, it's an experience. And
Yes.
and at the end of the day, and I can see people nodding their heads, yeah, what's that experience going to be like, and who are they going to go tell, right? And that's a great way to look at it. Very good, Adam. Down to you, my friend. Love to get some different ideas or different things that you're doing. And we talked a little bit about your business as it's grown over the last number of years, but it didn't start where it is today. And so what were some of those things you did early on to set that foundation that kind of set you up for this success that you're seeing now?
So I was all in. I did the cold calling. I did the door knocking. I called other top agents up at Keller Williams Complete, my brokerage, to ask if I could host their open houses. I approached people at Home Depot that looked like they were renovating their homes and said, "Oh, no, that looks great. I happen to be a realtor. If you need a free home consultation." I did all of those things, including, like Kayla and several other people have mentioned, writing letters out to your sphere. And I didn't like doing all of those things. I do happen to be a very energetic, I like approaching and talking to people. So it's the talking to people didn't really matter. Like Becky said, what's the worst that could happen? They hang up the phone. They tell me to get off their lawn, at least I'm getting exercise while I'm running and their dog's chasing me. Like, that's the worst that could happen. But what did end up developing was when I found this nugget was, instead of having not CMA, oh my goodness, a CRA, customer relationship, CRM, all these letters in my head. Instead of having a CRM that had thousands and thousands of people where I tried to touch base robotically, that didn't feel like me. It didn't feel genuine. I know that works for some people, but what did work for me was having a tight sphere of maybe like 50 to 100 people. And that I had the energetic bandwidth to keep in touch with at such a deep level. And while a couple of them have only transacted once or twice, a couple of them have transacted several times. A couple of them have referred. I've had some friends who I consider part of my real estate sphere that haven't ever transacted, but have sent me their sister and their mom and their cousin, because I've kept such a close relationship with them. I've provided amazing customer service to the people that they've referred, that they took a chance on at first. They've seen me active on social media and active throughout the community, genuinely working to make the lives better for as many people as I can. And that's what ended up working for me. If I could start over, I would have started a CRM much earlier. I still don't really have one. I'm kind of stuck in my ways at this point. So some people are mentioning info on CRM. There are tons out there. Google CRM for real estate. HubSpot is free. Boomtown, there's Mojo.
I'm pretty sure KW has a really good one
I
called
was just
KW
getting there.
Command.
Keller Williams has Command, which is free as a KW agent. I've started using that. Command is awesome to all of you hanging around at home. I've tried everything and nothing stuck. Command actually did, especially having the support from our brokerage. Shout out to Tech Rye at Keller Williams Complete if he's on here. But yeah, that's what works for me, is having a sphere that they're my nuggets. They know that I love them. I know that they love me because they keep sending me business, and I feel
I'm going to interrupt you just for a second, Adam. I'm so sorry. You said something again that I want to circle back to.
Sure.
They know that I love them.
Yes.
So what does that mean? That means you are what with them? You are communicating with them, right? Talk to us quickly about that.
So to me, and again, this is where life and real estate sort of interplays. To me, the four most important things in the world when it comes to relationships are honesty, communication, gratitude, and service. Sometimes I throw fun in there a little bit, because if you can't have fun, then you're not going to be enjoying your life. So honesty, communication, gratitude, and service, that's what I provide in my personal relationships and in my professional ones. So birthday cards, Christmas cards. Sometimes I'm just driving by and I'll drop off a bottle of wine. I literally keep spare bottles of wine in my car, because if I'm thinking of you, I want you to know that. And what better way than sharing a glass of wine now just on your front porch, 6 feet away, pouring a glass of wine for someone. But I keep in touch. And when I say things like, I want to be your realtor for life, they know it. And in a year, hey, Adam, just out of curiosity, can you keep me up to date on what my home is worth? Hey, Adam, I saw this house up the street. I know that you're really busy. Would you mind taking me through it just to get some inspiration? Maybe I'm thinking of moving. And I do that so that they know that I'm the go-to person for them. Not even necessarily because it directly correlates to a transaction, but it correlates to limitless transactions when people know that I'm there for them at a very high level.
That's fantastic. I love it. And just that constant coming from value, coming from a place of contribution and letting them know that you're there, right? Yeah. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. Rachel, this time's flying by. We've just got a few minutes left together, but I'd love to circle back to you, Rachel, and talk to us a little bit about your support system and who's supporting you in your business, to protect that mindset, as we kind of talked about quickly earlier.
Yeah. So like I mentioned before, I have a productivity coach with Real Consulting, so Colin Bradford, but I also have two other beautiful ladies. They're my soulful business coaches, Laura and Betsy Milne. They're Luscious Hustle. Both different style of coaching, and they are my cheerleaders. So, one is more than the productive side. The other one's more like getting to know me more and how I work in business and just being as effective as possible. Obviously, my business partner and the people that I have surrounded myself with are my support system as well. So I make sure that I just let that good energy in and just kind of keep the bad energy at a distance.
That's smart to do, because it just we know this business can be very demanding at times, and we got to have those people we lean on. Absolutely. Yeah. Very, very good. Very good. I'm going to give you a bonus question here as we're getting ready to sign off. But, if you could, address the 200 and some odd people on the call right now, any closing remarks that you'd have for them, Rachel?
Just follow your intuition. When I first started in this, I was like, okay, what's feeling right? I got kicked in the teeth really early on, and I just took them as learning lessons. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that ever again. And then just like, okay, this feels good. This fills up my cup. This is where I'm supposed to be going. And it felt like I was aligned with it. And I just kind of carried on. Listening to the people that have done this before, the 30 plus years experience, and getting the guidance. When COVID hit, everything kind of got quiet. And that's when I took the opportunity to learn. So people in this industry just gave me a ton of information and experiences. So very grateful for that. And I just kept going. I didn't stop.
Awesome. I absolutely love it. Keep it going, because what we love about real estate is that trajectory or that big snowball effect. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and faster.
Build
Awesome.
that empire.
Awesome. Very good. Amanda, I'm gonna offer you the same opportunity, the same question. What would you love to say to the crowd as we sign off today?
Progression, not perfection. So for somebody like me who likes everything to be perfect right out of the gate, just learn that it takes time, and you don't have to have your business up and running on day one, that it's a work in progress. And stick to, I know at the beginning it can be very overwhelming with all the systems and models and things like that. Just pick something and stick to it for at least 90 days and just see how you feel about it. And that's about it.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Kayla, same question.
Okay. I have a few. One, obviously put yourself out there, like everyone here has been saying. Start your CRM early, or you'll be like Adam and I doing it now. It'll make a huge difference, just so you don't feel like you're living in chaos, or at least for me, that's how I was feeling from time to time. It's so much easier when you're working with 5 people than when you're working with 50 to put them in there and at least you're organized and can, what you're doing with each person. And take a damn day off.
Yeah.
Because we're so guilty for not doing that. I literally, I almost try and force myself at least once a week to take mostly a day off. And I just was very shocked to see how uncommon that is. And I think it's super, super, super important, because burnout is a real thing. So that's my advice.
That is golden advice. And we are right up against the clock. Becky, Adam, reach out. Okay, first of all, I should say, reach out to our agents here that have been on the panel. Obviously congratulate them for being on here. And I congratulate you. This is not easy to do, and it's hard to put yourself out there and to share, but I can tell you, what you focus on expands, just like right behind Amanda in her screen there. It's putting ourselves out there. And again, I said this, the theme of today would be opportunity, and what I heard here is obviously a lot about freedom and writing that own script for our lives that we want. So I learned a lot from you over the last hour. Thank you for sharing. Continue to share, continue to put yourself out there. Thank you for everybody for being on the call with us. Ian, my friend, over to you.